students, welcome to Shri GM Donda Primary School. Today we will study Grammar Chapter 19, Active and Passive Voice. Now before starting active and passive voice, let's study about subject, verb, object because they are an important part of active and passive voice. Today, we will learn about the parts of a sentence, the subject, verb and object. Now let's see what is a subject. Who the sentence is about is called a subject. Example, Mark plays basketball. So who is doing the work of playing? Mark. So that will be called as your subject. Now the verb. The verb is the action in the sentence, or children you can say doing action is called verb. Example, Homer eats donuts. So what work Homer is doing? He is doing the work of eating. So eats will be your verb. Now let's see what is an object. The object is what is receiving the verb. Example, Matt enjoys fried chicken. Matt enjoys what? Fried chicken. So, fried chicken will be your object because it is the receiver of the action. What is a voice? Voice is the quality of a verb which indicates whether the subject acts or is being acted upon. There are two types of voices, active voice and passive voice. Now let's see what is an active voice. The voice used to indicate that the grammatical subject of the verb is performing the action or causing the happening denoted by the verb. Example, the boy hit the ball means the doer of the action is given as your subject. So that will be called as your active voice. Active voice adds clarity and places responsibility where it belongs. Active voice can make our writing more vivid. Now let's see what is passive voice. The voice used to indicate that the grammatical subject of the verb is the recipient, not the source of the action, denoted by the verb. Example, the ball was hit or the ball was hit by the boy means who is doing the work of hitting. Here it is used as your object. So your sentence becomes your passive voice. Passive voice is appropriate if the action is more important than the agent. Agent means it is more important than the doer of the action. If the agent is not known, means if we are not knowing who is the doer of the action, that time most probably we are using passive voice to connect ideas in different clauses or sentences more clearly. Now let's see the structure of the active voice. How the active voice is given. Subject plus verb and plus object. Example, cat eat fish. So who is eating the fish? Cat. So that will be your subject. Eat will be your verb and eats what? The fish. So that will be your object. Now the active object becomes the passive subject. Means what is your object in the active voice, that becomes your subject in the passive voice. Now let's see the construction of the passive voice. It will be subject plus you have to use auxiliary verb, that is the be forms. Be forms are is, are, am, was, were, has, have, had as per the tense. Plus you have to use main verb. But children remember, main verb always and always you have to use V3 form, or you can tell it as past participle form in passive voice. Example, fish is eaten by cat. Now see how it can be formed. Fish is your object in your active voice. So fish, then you have to use auxiliary form, that is be form. So here we have taken is or are you have to use. So fish is singular, so you have to use is. Then eat, to eat, ate, eaten. So eaten is your V3 form, so you have to use that. And by cat you have to, your subject of active voice will become your object of passive voice. Now let's see the another rule. Subject plus, if any modal verb is given, that you have to use, then plus auxiliary verb, that is be form, plus main verb in the past participle form. Example, fish must be eaten by cat. Now let's see one more example to make it clear. Raj likes ice cream. So Raj is your subject, likes is your verb, likes what? Ice cream. So ice cream will be your object. Now when you are changing your voice to passive, your object becomes your subject. So ice cream will be your subject in the passive voice. So that you have to write first. Then you have to use auxiliary verbs, that is the be form, is, are, am, was, were, has, have, had, as per the tense. So here likes is your verb, so your sentence is in simple present tense, so you have to use either is or are or am. But ice cream is singular, so you have to use is. Then you have to use V3 form of the verb like. So like, liked, liked. So liked will be your V3 form, and by compulsory this preposition you have to use, and then your again subject of active voice becomes your object of passive voice. So by Raj. So this way you have to change from active to passive voice. Now let's see what happens to the modals. So if in active voice should take is given, then it becomes should be taken in your passive. Can take, so it can be taken. Could take, so could be taken. May take, so may be taken. Might take, so might be taken. Must take, so must be taken. Ought to take, so ought to be taken. Now let's see the general rule according to the tense. If your sentence isn't simple present, then in your passive voice you have to use is, are, am plus V3 form, or else you can say past participle form. If your sentence is in present continuous tense, then you have to use is, are, am plus being plus V3 form of the verb. If your sentence is in present perfect tense, then you have to use has, have plus been plus V3 form. If your sentence is in simple past, then you have to use was, were plus V3 form. If your sentence is in past continuous tense, then you have to use was, were plus being plus V3 form. If your sentence is in past perfect tense, then you have to use had plus been plus V3 form. If your sentence is in simple future tense, then you have to use will or shall plus be plus V3 form. If your sentence is having going to form, then you have to use is, are, am plus going to plus be plus V3 form. If your sentence is in future perfect tense, then you have to use shall, will plus have plus been plus V3 form. Now let's see how your subject becomes object in the passive voice. Often passive voice sentences will contain a preposition by. So if your subject I is given in the active voice, it becomes by me in the passive voice. We by us, you by you, he by him, she by her, it by it, they by them, Sham by Sham. See children, if noun forms are given, then it remains the same. Example, book, to by book, boy to by boy. But if pronouns are given, it changes accordingly. Now, once again, I am repeating the rule how to change from active voice to passive voice. First rule, bring the object first. Means, first of all, you should know to find out subject, verb, object. So, what your object is there in the active voice that you have to bring first in the passive voice. So, here see the example, she helps him. So, she is your subject, helps is your verb, she helps whom? To him. So, him is your object. So, him, when it comes in place of subject, it becomes he. Now, see the second rule, choose correct be verb. Now, according to this sentence, helps is your verb. So, it is in simple present tense. So, simple present tense, you have to use is, are or am. So, here he is your singular subject. So, you have to use is. Then the third rule, it is change verb into participle. So help, helped, helped. So helped is your V3 form. So that after is you have to use helped. Then by is compulsory. So by, and now your subject becomes your object over here. So she, when it is going in place of object, it becomes her. So fourth rule is add by plus subject. So it becomes by her. So your sentence is formed like this, he is helped by her. Thank you. Hope you all understood.